ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the When Wrestling Matters podcast special edition. With me, your host Alex, and my co-host and brother John. How you doing, John?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Excellent. So today we're looking back over every episode of the When Wrestling Mattered video podcast, and basically assigning every performer on the shows that we watched a tier, ranging from S, which is obviously the best, A, B, C, and down to D. I'm going to go through in alphabetical order. If you, as we say a name, I've already got a sort of an idea of what I think. So give me your thoughts and we'll have a discussion, and then we'll see if we can come to an agreement on what tier they should go into, okay? So
Sounds good.
I'm going to go through in alphabetical order, and ironically, the first person on the list is actually the first person that we saw wrestle, and that is Alex Wright.
Was he the very first person?
Yes, he was in the very first match. It was Alex Wright versus Van Hammer. Ended in a no contest when Ernest Miller came out and kicked Van Hammer in the side of the head.
Yeah, he did. Okay, so Alex Wright. I would say I haven't given this any thought at all. So this is all going to be off the cuff initial thing. My initial gut feeling is a B. He didn't do anything badly. He kind of carried that feud with Fit Finlay and the Bulldog. Every time he come out, I did enjoy his promos. I enjoyed his in-ring work. Yeah, I think a B, but he didn't do anything, super outstanding.
The first show he was on with Van Hammer was the least, there was no point to any of it, and it was the least interesting thing that he did. I think the following week he called out DDP, had a really short match with DDP to put DDP over, and then he went straight into the best European wrestler gimmick where he was calling out the British Jellyfish and wrestling Fit Finlay most weeks. The only reason, to be honest, I would have given Alex Wright an A, right? It's just that the Halloween Havoc match was pointless and shit. So I was like, well, so as good as all his work leading up to it was, his actual contribution at the pay-per-view there wasn't one. Because I thought it was a worthless match. So
I wonder how many people are going to fall short because of their Halloween Havoc performance.
I take there are at least two people who would have got a very, very high grade apart from the Halloween Havoc match, and then they got knocked down a level for me. So so I would say I would agree with that. So we're happy. Alex Wright is our first B grade.
Yep. Okay. I think that's fair. Yep.
Fair enough. So next on the list, Arn Anderson.
Arn Anderson. Oh. I'm going to give him a C. He was involved with the Horsemen. They were all terrible. They're probably all going to be Ds. He was probably the best of a bad bunch. What he did was okay. He kind of did his role as it's not any higher than a C, but it's probably about, he was fine.
I would say, out of the entire faction, he was the most entertaining, and I don't know. He just, out of all the Horsemen, I think he did the most. He cut some decent little promo. His first promo on the first show when Flair came back was fantastic and set Ric Flair perfectly to come back. And the rest of it was sort of meh. But he did have his little segment with Reed Flair where he brought him out. That got over. And then of course he hit Stevie Ray with a tire iron on Thunder, so he's got to get bonus points.
Yeah, but we didn't. Yeah, but we can't count that. We didn't see it. We didn't review that Thunder.
We saw him be arrested for it afterwards, so I think it counts.
I don't know. But I think a C. I think that's probably about right.
I'd go C for Arn Anderson as well, just for the promo work. Yeah, I agree. I think Arn Anderson, best of a bad bunch of the Horsemen who were all trash. But I would say he got a C grade there, definitely. So on to the Bs. And the first one is Barbarian.
What did Barbarian do? Did he have one single match with the?
I will tell you, he's my first D. He didn't do anything. He had a terrible match with British Bulldog, and we spent the entire match talking about how god awful it was and how awful British Bulldog looked. I don't think we've really talked about Barbarian, except for the fact that he hit a really botched version of the big ending. That was the only thing we spoke about. So I think I've kind of gone with a sort of an unwritten rule for me, where if someone appeared on the show but their appearance added literally nothing, and they could have been replaced by anyone else, then I've given them an automatic D.
I think a D for Barbarian in this run is fair. So yeah, I think Barbarian's the first D. That's fair.
Bobby Heenan.
Ooh. This is a tough one. He's going to be A or S. Am I going to go for an S? That's very high. He did throw out lots of great one-liners. He was thoroughly entertaining.
And not only did he throw out great one-liners, but I remember in multiple instances throughout the run, one of us would stop a match in its tracks to talk about something specific that Bobby Heenan said at the pay-per-view. You were talking about all the comments he was making about how Disco needed a manager. I think the previous match where Disco and Kidman wrestled and Kidman was meant to be tired, he made some great comments. He had the whole he made Tony Schiavone break character at least once, where he was talking about Bruce MacArthur being impeached. Like there were multiple things that he did that I was like that you couldn't say that he wasn't impactful on the show.
No, I agree. Well, you know what? Yeah, you've convinced me. Now I think I'm going to have to put him as an S.
See, I put an A, but I could be convinced as an S. I could be convinced as an S.
Okay, so the question I'll ask is this, okay? Because I can be convinced if we're going to put him either A or S, okay? What more could Bobby Heenan have done?
He'll be impeached. Also Goldberg and the Giant. Is that great?
I look at Bobby Heenan and right now I'm thinking, what realistically is there something like? Because I look at the other commentators and I think, oh, they could have maybe done this a bit more, or done this kind of wording or this kind of phrasing. I look at Bobby Heenan and I go, like, what more would I have wanted him to do? I don't think there is anything, and thinking about what he contributed, I only have positives. There is literally not a negative.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's a fair enough comment. I'll go with S for Bobby Heenan, because I don't think any of my other announcers have an S either, so I think that's fair enough. Bobby Heenan.
I don't think mine will either, so that's fair. Okay.
Oh, I've just realised I've missed one. He's not hugely consequential, but I can edit him back in order. The next on the list is Barry Darsow.
D.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a match against Fit Finlay where he wiggled his tits, and he had a match where he got crushed by the Wolfpack with Hugh Morris. So that's literally his entire involvement.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, so D for Barry Darsow. Yeah.
Barry Darsow is a D. I like it. Okay. Next on our list, Bret Hart.
Oh. So the match at Halloween Havoc was a letdown, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. I don't know how much you can put that on Bret Hart's shoulders.
Listen, as the biggest Sting mark who's ever lived, I blame it fully on Sting, not anymore.
So his match at Halloween Havoc was a letdown, but I don't know if I can blame Bret Hart for that. His sort of understated interviews were somewhat refreshing, but I know they weren't exactly massively entertaining.
If you go back to the early episodes, we were raving about Bret Hart's promos as a babyface, understated babyface promos, and he had the heel turn on Sting, which for me at least, maybe not everyone feels the same, I feel it's an iconic turn, where he DDTs Sting after pretending to be cheering him on and having the whole leg break and being attacked by the NWO backstage. I felt like...
Yeah.
And you can't... And this is what I'll say about Bret Hart. Whatever you think of his match at Halloween Havoc, we spent the entire series talking about how it was the most underrated feud in WCW history. So can you give him anything less than an A? I took an S rank off of him because of the shit match.
Oh no, so there's no dispute. He was either going to be an S or an A. I think the S is out of reach because of the bad ending. So I think an A is fair for Bret Hart. He was the centerpiece. He was one of the centerpieces of this whole run, and he was pretty much great in everything he did. So yeah,
I agree. Okay, so therefore, Bret Hart is our first A rank. Next, Bryan Adams.
D.
A D. So I didn't give him a D.
Oh, what did you give him?
C.
Right. Why?
Right, I'll tell you why. Right, because I was kind of looking as I was doing the list at sort of who else was in each tier, and I felt it was really unfair on Bryan Adams, right? considering he had admittedly a shit match with Rick Steiner and a decent match with Kevin Nash, but he did have 2 matches with big stars, and he okay, let's put it this way, right? You're gonna give him a D. What are you gonna give Vincent? You see what I'm saying? Like, can we really? Like, is it? I get he's not very good. I'm not a big fan of Bryan Adams, but can you say that he contributed nothing? That he was just like literally a non-entity? Like, he didn't just come out during NWO segments. He didn't just, he was there, and he did have matches with important people who were in big programs.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm happy to put a C. Okay, fine.
A begrudging C for Bryan Adams.
A begrudging C. Yeah, okay.
Just only because it's almost a C by default, just because there are so many shit people who deserve to be in D more than
Okay, C it is. I'm quite happy for C. Okay.
Superb. Okay, next. You'll like this one. Bruce MacArthur.
S.
Sorry. Okay. I gave him an A because he only appeared on that one episode, and it wasn't a very good episode.
Yeah, but he was the main man in that episode.
He was, yeah. All right, okay. I'll give it. Okay, Bruce MacArthur can go S because he was.
What my argument would be is this: what more would you have wanted Bruce MacArthur to do?
Have a match with Goldberg at Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, but even then, I'm not.
As per my trailer, I want
the problem is with that.
The
problem is with that is that it's too early to beat Goldberg. No, okay. In all seriousness, I probably wouldn't put him S. I would put him A.
Me too. I would say he's an A rank, only because, as I say, he wasn't a wrestler. He was only. If he had been a recurring character throughout like a couple of shows, I might have given him an S. If he had been as good as he was in that show, and just came across as like badass as he did in that show, I'd have gone like, all right, S. But he was on one show.
I understand. Okay, A is his.
Yeah, I would. I just think S is too specialised. So I would say he doesn't deserve to go with Bobby Heenan as one of the best announcers of all time. But I would say Bruce MacArthur can join Bret Hart in the A rank, which is pretty fucking good.
That's fair.
Cool. Okay, so 2 more for the B. Next one, and this one's going to be, I think, easy. Buff Bagwell. I'll tell you what I've given him.
I think you've given him an A.
I've given him an S.
Oh, really?
Buff Bagwell, on most shows we reviewed, was in the best segment of the show. Some of them were all about him. Some of them were, so you could give more of the credit to Scott Steiner, maybe Buff's mum. But I think Buff Bagwell, you can criticise the booking, you can criticise the whole storyline with Rick Steiner being a complete moron, but I think for Buff he was a dastardly heel, right? Playing up his neck and doing all these hilarious things like taking 10 minutes to be wheeled out to an ambulance just to immediately jump out of the ambulance and beat up Rick Steiner. He had the doctor attack backstage with Scott Steiner. He had the Judy Bagwell segment, which is one of the best segments on any show that we've reviewed. And he wrestled at the pay-per-view in a match that you weren't keen on, but I quite liked. And also, he did it hurt. Like, he shouldn't have been wrestling. Like, I know he didn't do a bump or anything, but he should, I just think, look, considering Buff Bagwell in modern day gets looked upon as like this kind of joke figure, you know what I mean? Like this guy that is like, oh, he had a look and he had pyro and that was it. You know what I mean? And then he was just shit. I think watching this back, especially considering he's got a neck injury and he can't work, there weren't many other non-wrestling characters in this whole thing that I was like, every time he came out, I was like, awesome, Buff Bagwell's coming out. So I would give him an S just for this run. This isn't a list of who the best wrestlers in WCW are. This isn't.
I know. But okay, you know what?
Who was best in this run? And I think, how can I possibly give Buff Bagwell, after all of the segments, when he turned babyface, and I know it was a swerve, people were going crazy for him. He was over. There was so much about Buff Bagwell in this run that I was like, I can't put him anywhere else.
Yeah. Okay.
Why are you feeling not so sure about the S rank then?
Well, it's not that I'm unsure of it. In my initial thought, I hadn't really thought about Buff Bagwell, but I'll be honest, I kind of decided where I'm going to put the Steiners, which I won't say now.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you know what? I do agree. Let's put Bagwell in S. Okay.
Bagwell. So the Bs have done well so far. The last B will not be an S.
Mm-hmm.
British Bulldog. And the reason he's after Buff, by the way, is because he's just down as Bulldog on my form. So he comes B, not Briar.
Bulldog. I think he deserves a C. He isn't bad. He didn't do badly. I mean, that first match with Barbarian was bad, but he was injured. He kind of he didn't ever look particularly good, but he didn't ever look particularly bad. His match with Alex Wright was okay. The finish of that was all right. Yeah, I think C. I don't, he doesn't deserve better, but he certainly doesn't deserve worse.
Yeah, I gave him a C. Bulldog seemed to just get beat a lot and then disappeared. So, but his in-ring stuff was okay, and he did contribute. So I would say C grade is about average, about fair for Bulldog. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, next, Chavo Guerrero.
Okay, I think it's going to be another C rank. He didn't do badly, but he didn't do anything particularly noteworthy either.
Yeah, I'm the same. I gave him C. He had a match with Conan, which was average. But he did also appear in a couple of multi-man cruiserweight matches, and he held his own, but he didn't do anything. Like, he was never the star of those matches. He was never the guy that, like, oh, awesome, Chavo's in the ring, but he was fun to watch, and yeah, so... Yeah.
And I believe he also had a match with Disco that was okay. So...
He did Disco again, it was okay. He wasn't an irrelevance, but he wasn't in any way a focal point.
C's a good shout, then.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Okay, so the next one is Chris Benoit.
I think he's going to have to go... Oh, no, I was going to say a D, but...
You know
what did we give for... Hang on. What did we give Arn Anderson? We gave him a C, didn't we?
Gave him a C. I think Benoit should go D-list, mate. He had one match with Alex and Disco where he did two moves because they were saying he was hurt and he'd only just come back from an injury. Besides that, he did yada, 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 talk to the hand, unless you're going to give him a boost up for the yada, yada, talk to the hand line. Besides that, he did nothing. He stood in the background of Ric Flair segments looking like a dolt.
The question is with the Horsemen. They had a terrible run. How much does the initial segment of them coming back in 1998, which is one of the greatest segments in Nitro history, how much does that save them?
It doesn't, because none of them... I honestly believe that segment, and you can maybe argue this in terms of, that guy wouldn't have been a Horseman, that guy wouldn't have been a Horseman, whatever. I honestly believe if you had done that exact segment with three other dudes and Ric Flair, it would have been the same.
Yeah, I think
they literally did nothing. Like, they came out, they stood there in suits. The next week they came out and stood there in high waist jeans, and they got bitched out by Eric Bischoff every week. They did nothing, and then right at the end, like one match before the pay-per-view, one show before the pay-per-view, they had a match with Disco and Alex Wright where they basically squashed them, and it was kind of shit. And Benoit literally stood on the ring apron, came in, chopped Disco twice, and put him in the crippler. He didn't even do anything in the match, so... But I would...
Yeah, okay. In that case, yeah, okay. Yeah, D. Fair enough, D.
D? For the crippler?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be.
I'd say Benoit was a D for this run. He didn't do anything, and it's a shame, because he was insanely talented, but in this run we didn't see anything of him.
That's fair.
Chris Jericho.
I'm going to give Chris Jericho a B.
Okay.
I don't think he hit the heights of like the A's, like the Bret Harts, but he certainly was better than average in everything he did. Seeing as it started off with mainly just vignettes and like little, flashbacks and stuff, and we didn't see much of. But then when he started having the thing with Goldberg and DDP and Raven, and his match at the pay-per-view was probably pretty decent. But again, was he like so great that he deserves to be in an A? I don't think he does. So I'm going to have to say B.
You know what? I was actually going to say A, but you've just convinced me of a B, because you're right. He didn't have as much impact as Bret. The reason I was going to give him an A was just because he was always in amongst it. And he was a mid-carder, but he was so entertaining. Like, he had his segment with Goldberg where his security got killed. He had an awesome match with DDP, and then he had a fun match which wasn't even booked at the pay-per-view. So I was kind of like leaning towards an A, just because it's kind of like he wasn't given anything, but he was still awesome. So I wanted to give him an A, but I understand what you're saying. I think actually, the way now that you've just spoken about it, I'm like, okay, he was talented enough to be an A or an S, but he just wasn't used enough to justify those marks, yeah?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay, so B for Chris Jericho. Next is Chucky Doll.
Oh, C.
I've given him a C. Just for not being as bad as I remember it.
The thing is, you can't blame the booking on him. But if you say to him, go out and cut a promo, which you also have to sell your movie, but also kind of tie it into a feud and make it a semi-decent promo, yeah, okay, he nailed it. So it was bad. It just wasn't as bad as I remember. But so it's a C.
And it was bad, but we've just said that Chris Jericho was talented enough to get an A or an S. But his talent doesn't matter because his booking let him down. So I think you could easily say that Chucky's booking let him down there, right? Like he was given the material he was given. He did a good job with. He just didn't have much to go with. But sell your movie and cuss out Rick Steiner and Mean Gene.
Are you trying to say he should be deserving of a B, but we can't put him there?
Let me put it this way: if I saw him cut that promo on the Indies, I might sign him. Let's put it that way. I just didn't think the promo in and of itself was very good. I mean, like Roman Reigns said sucker in succotash at one point. Like, he's still one of the biggest names in the business now. You can't blame him for bad writing, bad production. So I would say Chucky, definitely deserving.
Chucky's a C. Yeah,
it wasn't terrible. Okay, the next one, bit of a boring one for the last of the C's, is Cyclope.
He wasn't bad. He just didn't really do anything. I'm going to put him as C.
Me too. He had a couple of decent multi-man matches. He was never the focal point, but whenever he wrestled, he looked okay. And like he wasn't a non-entity. He did have matches. He did do moves. What more can you ask for a masked luchador who probably can't speak English?
Yeah,
so, yeah, I'll give him a C. Okay. Next, number one of the D's is Dale Torborg.
D.
D.
Well, it looked like in executing that high kick from Dale Torborg, he may have injured a knee. I believe he did when he fell down after executing that high kick. Looks like maybe the left knee gave out, but in effect, Dale Torborg.
Similar to Cyclope, Damien.
I'll go for C again.
I'll give him a C.
He didn't do badly what he did. He was there with the LWO or whatever. It was fine. It wasn't good. It was just, but it wasn't offensive. So C.
One of the founding members of the LWO, but I would agree C. Didn't do anything of any major note, but did have some decent little matches that were fun on the shows that we watched. DDP.
Oh, let's have a think of DDP. My initial gut feeling is A. He's not S.
Really?
I feel like
You wouldn't put.
No, he's not S.
Yes. For this
No,
one.
he's not S.
I would have given an S. You go on. You give your feelings, and I'll explain why I would give him an S, and we'll see if we can come to mutual agreement.
So he's higher than a B. He was one of the better things on all the shows he was in. He never did anything badly. You have to give him all the credit for his match with Goldberg. But is he at the level... Okay, so I'm thinking of the people that I'm going to put in S rank, or my initial gut is putting him in the S rank. Is he there with them for this run of shows we watched?
I think I would... The reason my initial feeling was S for DDP. Had the Goldberg match, which I still maintain is probably the best Goldberg match ever done.
Yeah.
Some people would argue the Lesnar one was better. I think the DDP one was a better match and more interesting story. So he got literally Goldberg's best match of his entire career out of him in 1998. It's now 2024, and Goldberg is still technically active and has never done better than that match. That's number one. Number two, when you look throughout the weeks, he cut some fun promos. Whenever he came out, the crowd went fucking ape shit. Had a match with Alex Wright, which was average. Wrestled Canyon, which was great. Wrestled Jericho, which was great. Like, he had some, like, throughout. If you actually look at the big stars, I think he was the most active out of all of them. He had the most matches. He had the most, matches that weren't just angles or, you know what I mean? Like, he actually had real wrestling matches with other real talented guys and actually put on really fun matches on the shows. And then he had the best match of Goldberg's career. And he did a whole bunch of promos that, while maybe they wouldn't list in your top 10 best promos of all time, were all completely and utterly more than competent.
You look at his record, he ain't ever lost. Me? I've had my share of losses, but nobody's ever defeated me.
So I would give him an S for this run.
I'm going to be somewhat controversial and bend the rules a bit and say we're going to put a pin in DDP, and I want to see who else we put in SNA before I decide. Because I think I'm going to get a feeling from seeing who else we put where. So I'm going to put, I say, pin in DDP.
Dean Malenko.
He's going to have to be D as well, isn't he, unfortunately?
Yeah, he is going to have to be a D, which is a shame, just because he did a bit more in that match than Benoit, but besides that, nothing. Didn't say anything. So yeah, no, I would go D for Benoit, for Dean Malenko as well. Next, Disco Inferno. S all day long. Disco's in the top rank. Fuck you. Disco's the top. How can you say no? Every segment he was in was classic. Every segment he was in was a classic. He didn't have a single bad segment in the whole run of shows, and he had 2 decent matches at the pay-per-view.
So I'm not against the S rank. I'm gonna play devil's advocate and just say why maybe he should be an A rather than S. Because I'm not against S. This isn't me arguing it. If you disagree with this, I'm happy with him going into S, because actually my initial feeling was S. However, the only issue I have with Disco is I feel like he could have done more in the matches to play up the whole weight thing. And he failed to do that. So when I say, could you have done more to get, literally you were perfect in what you did, I look at that and go, actually, he could have done that little tweak more. Does that take him out of the S rank? I don't know.
I mean, isn't S rank? I'll be classing an S rank as perfect. You have to be perfect. You can, because
no. You don't have to be perfect. I'm just saying, it's one of those things where I look at it and I go, would I expect more of you? But then, having said that, Disco's already overachieved in this. Going into this, I didn't think he'd be one of the standout guys. So, okay, S. Well, I'm all right with S.
This one won't be an S rank. The Disciple.
D.
Fair enough. Right, I will just say this about Disciple. Even though he was involved in an actual storyline, and even though he did actually have 2 matches, both matches were shit. No one ever reacted to anything that he did. And I think that you could have probably done it with any other NWO member and it been maybe better.
But isn't it weird how it didn't play into the story at Halloween Havoc? I've only just realised that. You'd feel like the Disciple should play into it. But either way, everything he did was awful. So D.
And the last D is Doug Dillinger.
Oh, Doug Dillinger, C. He didn't do anything bad.
No, you see, I gave him a D.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I gave him a D is because he was, in kayfabe, bad at his job. He's meant to be the head of security. He let Ric Flair go past, and then the next week when Eric Bischoff come out, he led Ric Flair and the Horsemen away like they were a bunch of old men being led back to their Alzheimer's home that they'd escaped from.
Well, hang on now.
Hang on. Not only that though, he escorted Bischoff up to Bruce MacArthur, and when Bruce MacArthur's security attacked his boss, he did nothing. He also failed to intervene until it was already over during the Bret Hart Sting fight backstage. I was like, you are a terrible head of security, Doug Dillinger. Terrible head of security.
Well, hang on now. So, are we criticising... Okay, but aren't we... Are we criticising people for their booking or not? Because in terms of him...
Okay. Oh, so what you're saying is that he was good at playing an incompetent security chief.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's a C.
Okay, a C. Okay. He did an adequate job at playing an incompetent old man. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go straight to the E's then. First E is Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie Guerrero didn't have a match. Formed the LWO. It was all pretty. Oh, God.
I'll give him
It
a
was all
C.
pretty terrible, though, wasn't it? LWO isn't very good.
No, and everyone
Eddie.
else that we've discussed so far, who was sort of LWO or LWO adjacent, has got a C. I'd probably give him the same. He didn't have a match, but he was the only one that spoke. His promos were followable, like they weren't great. I don't think I could give him a D. He wasn't a non-factor.
No, okay, yeah, C. I agree, C. Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero is a C. I will just say this is a damning indictment of WCW in 1998 because both Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, and Eddie Guerrero are C or D grades. It's how badly they were being used at this time. They're the biggest names, or three of the best in-ring talents ever. So yeah, okay. Eddie Guerrero, I think Eddie Guerrero's C grade is fair. It seems unfair.
Yeah, I agree.
But he didn't do anything, so he can't get a B. Next is El Dandy.
He's going to be a C again. He didn't really do anything. He had one match.
Yeah, he was part of the multi-man LWO match. He didn't do
And
much.
he joined the LWO. He didn't do anything badly.
He joined the LWO on Thunder, though, so we didn't even see him joining the LWO. He just appeared one day with an LWO shirt on.
Yeah, and despite El Dandy being a great wrestler, a C.
I would give him a C. Fair enough. Next one, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth? I'll be honest, I completely forgot we even saw her. C.
I thought it needs to be C. You just said you barely remembered seeing her. I'd given her a D all day long. She did nothing. She stood in the ring. She looked hot. That's literally it. She achieved nothing else. She stood next to Eric Bischoff a few times. That was it. Like she wasn't in an angle. She didn't speak. She didn't move. She just stood and looked pretty. I'd give her a D. It's up to you.
But was she bad at that? Was she bad at her role of standing in the ring and looking pretty?
Okay, so we could say that about anyone else we've given a D to. We could go.
No, because some people
Chris
were
Benoit
bad.
bad at his role of standing behind Ric Flair and looking gormless. No, he wasn't.
Yes.
He did perfectly adequately. But I don't know. To me,
Okay, fine. Okay, I understand what you mean. Fine, Miss Elizabeth D. Fine.
she didn't do anything. She has to.
Yeah, okay.
If she had
Okay.
not, let's put it this way: considering you started it by saying I don't remember that we'd already seen her, and we've already established that if someone didn't do anything that impacted the show, they should be on a D. Like the fact that you didn't remember her even being there sort of speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, okay, that's fair. Yeah, okay, D. Fine, D.
D for Elizabeth. Next, Eric Bischoff.
My initial gut reaction is to say an A.
Ooh, okay.
He was a great two-man with Hulk Hogan. He was pivotal in the Ric Flair feud, even though that wasn't a great feud. He wasn't the bad part of it. He wasn't so good as to be an S, because I think there were things I didn't enjoy, particularly where he was yelling over Bruce MacArthur so you couldn't understand the actual story, what was going on.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is it that's making you skip over B? Because my initial gut instinct was a B. He was good. He wasn't great. He didn't do anything that made me go, holy shit, this is like the best thing on the show, or like ever. Like, you know, he was okay. Like he definitely had too much to do to be considered a C. I just wonder whether anything he did, like, was he ever the highlight of his own segment? I don't know if he was. He was always sort of, like, don't get me wrong, he played a pivotal role in those segments. But was he, like, the best thing ever? I don't know. Like again, a B isn't a bad grade. It's not a bad grade. I don't know if I can jump to an A for Eric Bischoff.
So here's my thinking. Actually, if it was a Hollywood Hogan Eric Bischoff double act, I think I'd put him an A. If he wasn't involved in the Horseman storyline, I think he'd probably be an A. But if he was just involved in that, I'd probably say it was a C. He had some good stuff. He also had some bad stuff, but the good probably outweighs the bad.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, B. Okay, yeah, okay, because I'm going to put Bischoff B. Yeah, I think it's B. Okay, you know what? I think, yeah, B feels right. Yeah.
I think so. And the last E is Ernest the Cat Miller.
He kind of disappeared off the edge of the face about halfway through, didn't he? But his initial stuff was quite decent.
The first few weeks, he was on a bit of a tear. Beat someone every other way. He interfered in a match first week and got arrested for being black. And then, and he had a match with Kaz Hayashi. Had a match with Lenny. Was it Lenny Lane? No, Psychosis.
Yeah.
Had a match with Psychosis. And they weren't bad. Like, considering a lot of people don't like Ernest Miller as an in-ring talent, I thought he was okay. I would probably lump for a C. He had heat. When he was on screen, he was fun to watch. But as soon as he teamed up with Sonny Ono, he just vanished. I imagine he's back after the pay-per-view to do his Sonny Ono cat shtick.
Yeah, I agree. I would put Ernest Miller in C, but kind of with an asterisk saying he's probably a C+.
Fit Finley.
C.
I was going to say easy C. Just there, did his job, didn't do anything that made him stand out. Was basically a third wheel in a feud that ended up derailing. So, meh.
Yeah, C. I agree. Yeah.
Fair enough. So we have two G's, and they're both big names. First one is the Giant.
The Giant immediately says B to me.
I've given him an A.
Oh, okay. I don't think you can go for an A.
Right.
He wasn't involved in He wasn't involved in a storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he played a role at Halloween Havoc and did the role well. Yes, he had his great match with Meng.
Wrestle Goldberg.
Yes, every time he got his hands on the Warrior, he was the one that kicked Warrior's ass, and choked them and stuff. But that is an A. That's B.
I'll take it back. I agree with you. It was a B. He should have been an A because they should have been using him and making him a fucking star. Okay, I would go. I went A because I was impressed by how much he did with how little he was given. But I guess you're right. Like, he didn't get given enough to be an A.
If he was involved in a storyline or something, yeah. But it's just a B.
Goldberg.
Oh, jeez, Goldberg.
Can you not give him an A? Can you really say justify lower than an A? Like, he's not an S. He didn't do enough to be an S. His feud wasn't even the biggest thing on the shows. So he can't be an S. But can he go lower than an A? Goldberg in 1998, one of the biggest names in the industry. It goes on to have the best match of his career with DDP. Wrestles the Giant. Every time he comes out to spear someone or jackhammer Chris Jericho, the crowd go fucking mental. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there was... Like, yes, what he did was limited in terms of the amount of screen time, which is insane when you think about it, considering he's WCW's whole Steve Austin. But I think for what he did, I would give him an A. I think he had a bit like every segment he was in, I was like, this is fun.
I feel like whatever Goldberg is, DDP is going to be as well.
Really? See, right, so can I say this, right? You know what made me give... Because I gave DDP an S and you wanted to give him an A, right?
So just to confirm, you think Goldberg's an A, but DDP's an S?
Yes. DDP did more. He was more active. Out of the two guys in the feud, he was the one pushing the feud, coming out doing promos and matches every week when Goldberg wasn't always there. And also, the entire match at Halloween Havoc, the credit goes to DDP and not Goldberg. So I would go... If I was going to... I would classify both guys. I think they were both insanely important. I think they basically saved the pay-per-view. But did they save the pay-per-view or did DDP save the pay-per-view by leading Goldberg through the best match of his career by the nose?
Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a pin in Goldberg, I'm going to come back to those two at the end and see how I feel about it.
That's fair enough. DDP and Goldberg, you want to put on hold for now. On to the H's. Number one is Hector Garza.
C,
easy. Yeah, no need to discuss it further. Founding member of the LWO, but he didn't do anything. Hulk Hogan or Hollywood Hogan.
Oh, Hollywood Hogan. He's going to have to be an A, isn't he? He isn't an S.
I gave him a B.
Oh, I think he has to be higher than a B.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, dude. Like,
every week he came out and he'd crack a 20-minute promo, even if they weren't very good. We got to the stage where we liked everything he was doing and we were impressed by him. His matches sucked. His matches always suck. Yes, the match at Halloween Havoc was awful, but you can't deny how important he was every single week to the show. The reactions he got every single week.
Yeah.
He's an A. He's got to be an A.
Right, here's the thing, like, because that's what I was going to say, right? Every match he's involved in was wank. And I will, right, this is how I feel about Hulk Hogan, right? I kind of feel like I've enjoyed him on a meta level. I kind of feel like I've enjoyed Hulk Hogan as, like, I've been watching it as someone analysing a wrestling show 20 years after the fact and going, man, this guy's coming out here every week and making this shit up, and he hasn't got anything planned or scripted, and he's walking out with a hamster turning on a wheel in his head as he's doing his posing, no thought going into what he's going to say, and then he just riffs for 20 minutes, and he can sort of hold the crowd's attention, kind of, like, without just going off the rails. So I appreciated watching a demonstration of Hogan's skill set, which was what made him famous. Hang on. Apart from the Hollywood in the Hood promo, I don't know that I can say I actually enjoyed anything that he did.
If you're real tight with the Woodmaster like the Nitro Girls are, you can just go ahead and call me Woody because I'm just too sweet.
You know what, actually? I would be prepared to give him an A just for the Hollywood in the Hood promo because it's one of my favourite promos. I've watched it loads of times since then. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Here is why I'm going to say... Here is why I think he should be an A, because the matches were all terrible, but that's just kind of Hogan in '98. Like it's just what it is. However, what I'll say is this: the fact that Hogan, where he was having matches every week on Nitro, he didn't have to be. That's pretty impressive. The fact he's going out there and I know he wanted the 20-minute promos, but he was still doing it. He was doing segments where he wasn't afraid to look cowardly and confused and all that stuff. Those segments that are kind of crap, the old look in the mirror thing, but he was giving his all doing them. But everything you said there, where you were enjoying it on a meta level, seeing how good this guy was doing it 20 years on, that still counts. Like he's at the time he was doing that as a kid.
Yeah.
He was still doing that when you were watching it at 14, doing that. He's an A.
All right. No, you convinced me he's an A. Yeah, maybe it was my anti-Hulk Hogan bias, which I do have. But yeah, all right, I've put Hogan as an A. Fine. Horace Hogan.
Horace Hogan. C.
Yeah, I'd give him a C. I'd give him a C.
He didn't do anything badly. The stuff he was given, he did fine. So C.
I'm Horace Hogan.
Yeah, okay.
One of my favourite deliveries of a line.
Okay, I mean, he did that badly, but then he took the beating well, and then he got involved in the match. So a C.
Hugh Morris.
I don't remember him being on the show, so it's going to have to be a D.
It's a D. He was the tag team partner of Barry Darsow when they got beat by the Wolfpack.
Again, that was not a great match, so a D.
It wasn't a great match, and he was nothing. He was just a name in there, good in anybody.
Yeah. I don't even think he got tagged in, did he?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Did he briefly? But honestly, I can't remember. D.
One is Jerry Flynn.
D. No.
Hang
on. I'm not sure about that.
Can I just say, if we're giving Horace Hogan a C for getting hit in the head really hard with a chair, Jerry Flynn had a match with Juventud, which was meh, and he had a match with Saturn, which, while I thought the booking of it was crap, both guys did really well and the crowd loved it, and you quite liked the match, so I would say probably a C.
Yeah, that's fair, actually. Yeah,
This is another easy one. Jim Neidhart. D. Didn't even have a match, came out for one with the Disciple, and then the Warrior came out and ended the match, and they just went away.
Yes, yeah, D.
It's the biggest event this sport has ever